Welcome to Plan and Practice channel. Today we will continue the video of management functions and organizational processes. Today topic is evolution of management. First we will see the perspectives of management. So how do people think about management? What is the perspective about the management? Empirical or classical perspective. The empirical or classical approach to management was proposed in the early part of 20th century. To some extent, it is accepted and practiced by many managers even today. The exponents of the school of management emphasize the importance of the study of the experience of successful managers. They claim that such study would provide a better understanding of the most effective way of managing an enterprise. At times, they stress the need of study and the analysis of cases. Now we'll go to three separate branches of classical approach: scientific management, administrative theory, and bureaucracy. First, we will see scientific management. This perspective grew up of a need to improve manufacturing efficiency through many effective utilization of physical and human resources. This was proposed by F.W. Taylor. So, scientific management was proposed by F.W. Taylor, and he is the father of scientific management. F.W. Taylor. He observes that the best management is true science resting upon clearly defined laws, rules, and principles of foundation. He spent a greater part of his life finding solutions to the problem of achieving greater efficiency on the shop floor. Taylor observed that the workers got used to intentionally delay by the process of completing the job and complain about the tools and identified and equipment provided to them of a low standard and obsolete. He identified the need to teach the workers that they would not be able to throw out of employment. So they have to be taught. He identified the need to teach the workers that they would not be thrown out of employment if they turn out more work. The solutions suggested by Taylor was the outcome of his own experience at work, initially at the shop floor and later as a manager. He proposed this at the backdrop of the Industrial Revolution. Employers gave up a high degree of priority to efficient working methods. Taylor was passionately interested in the efficiency of working methods. He initially realized that the systematic analysis of work would find a solution to all the problems associated with enhancing the efficiency of the working methods. He also realized that this way was the only way to address the apprehensions of worker. Taylor thus consolidated his ideas at the Bethlehem Steel Company and conducted some of the most famous experiments to improve labor priority. He has published his work in article called The Principles of Scientific Management in 1911. He was the first person to recognize and emphasize the need for adopting a scientific approach to the task of enterprise. Elements of scientific management. Scientific management referred to the process of applying scientific principles to management related issues. Scientific management methods call for optimizing the way that tasks were performed and the job simplified so that the workers could be trained to perform specialized sequence of motions in the best way. After years of various experience to determine optical work methods, Taylor proposed the following 4 principles of management. Develop a science for each element of an individual worker. This would mean replacing the role of a thumb work methods with methods based on a scientific study of the task. Second one, scientifically select, train, teach and develop each worker rather than passively leaving them to train themselves. Third one, heartily cooperate with the workers so as to ensure the work is done in accordance as per whatever the result we want and it is achieved. So it is necessary to work and cooperate with workers. Fourth one, divide work and responsibility almost equally between management and workers. Management would take over all the work for which it is better suited than the workers, which means that the managers would apply the scientific management principles to planning the work and the works actually perform the task. These principles were implemented in many factories and productivity increased 3 to 4 times. Henry Ford applied Taylor's principle in his automobile factories and even families began to use these principles in their household tasks. So, Taylor's work and experience was very popular. Taylor's experiment. Taylor demonstrated the benefits of increased productivity and earnings through an experiment in Bethlehem steelwork. So, for soldering, his interest to improve the worker productivity could be seen earlier in his career, where he observed gross efficiencies during his contact with the steel workers. Soldering. His work in the steel industry made him observe the phenomena of workers purposely operating well below their capacity. Soldering. He attributed this to the following reasons. The most universally held belief among workers that if they become more productive, fewer of them would be needed, thus eliminating some of the job. Second one, non-incentive wage system encourage lower productivity. There were no incentive that they were paid as part of the wage and hence all the employees received the same pay irrespective of the volume of work produced by them. Fourth one, workers relied more on the rule of thumb method, thus wasting a lot of their effort and not following the scientific methods to carry out their tasks. Thus, Taylor conducted several experiments to determine the best way of performance in each of the tasks. Some of the experiments are time study to determine the optimal method to perform a job. Taylor conducted the time and motion studies. He used a stopwatch to record the time taken by a worker in the sequence of his movements in the job. His goal was to find out one best way to perform a job. Some examples of his experience in time and motion studies are pig iron experiment, Taylor argued that if the workers were asked to move 12.5 tons of pig iron per day and could be induced to move 4 times of the same per day, they would get exhausted and fail to reach the goal. Second one, the science of shoveling. Another study, Taylor used the time studies again to determine the optimal weight of a worker should lift in a shovel was 21 pounds. He found out that the density of materials are different and hence the size of the shovel should also be appropriate. Third one, bricklaying, taking clue from Taylor. The Gilbert's bricklaying experiments also provided a significant increase the number of motions required to lay the bricks. Contributions of scientific management. Taylor was interested in replacing traditional method management with scientific management by developing scientific principles through his experiments on people, machines, money and material to see that both the employer and workers benefited. Second one, his contribution to in terms of compensation reflected his foresight in improving productivity and reflects the thinking of the current times. His experience aim at the scientific measurement of the job based on which wages rates were to be determined. Third one, he called for a mental revolution both on the part of workers and management. Fourth one, scientific management. So all that he is doing as a contribution of scientific management. These are some of the he called for mental revolution both on the part of the workers and management. Fourth one, scientific management had a lot to contribute to the workers and their beliefs. Through his experiments, he advised the workers to work using scientific principles and methods. Stop worrying about how the surplus would be distributed and cooperate with the management to develop scientific ways, methods, discarding the rules of thumb approach. Fifth one, his contribution. The contribution has benefited the industry as at large with a rational approach, improved working methods, evolution on incentive systems and enormous increase in the productivity of workers. Next, criticism of scientific management. Scientific management focused on So now we'll see the criticism of scientific management. Scientific management focused on the stakeholders in the process of industrial management. Hence, it was criticized by the employers, workers, and leaders. This scientific management was criticized by employers, workers, and leaders. First one, by insisting on best way of doing work, scientific management ignored the creativity and innovation of workers. and the people who are doing the job. Second one, the name of in the name of increasing the productivity and improvement in the standard of work, the workers were reduced to a cog in the machine. So all these are criticism of scientific management. Analysis of tasks in the job led to work getting fragmented with narrow specialization. Fourth one, the management emphasized on the design and planning of the job, ignored the worker and his experience, thus making it repetitive and boring. Fifth one, the effort overemphasized practice of the rule of the thumb methods made the workers feel insecure in the name of scientific standards given by the management. Next, we will see administrative theory. The French industrialist Henri Fayol was a major contribution to the administrative theory. The other contributors for administrative theory are Mary Parker Fuller, Lyndall Terry, Peter Drucker, Harold Kuhns, etc. Known as the functional or process approach, the administrative theory describes the efforts to define the universal functions that manager performs and the management functions and attempted to generate broad administrative principles that serve as a framework guidelines for the rationalization of organizational activity, including organization structure and relationship. They viewed the job as an undecent to the worker. Fayol argues that the organization function from the management point of view. He proposed that all manager performs 5 management functions, namely planning, organization, commanding, coordinating and controlling. He also described the practice of management as distinct from accounting, finance, production, distribution and other business functions. His contribution also lies in his observation that management was an activity common to all human undertaking in business, government, etc., even at home, etc. He also proposed 14 principles of administration, which he believed would be applied most often in organization and functioning. They are division of work. Fayol advocated division of work, which means a worker is giving only some elements of work to take advantage of specialization. Second one, authority and responsibility. Authority provides the right to command to get the work done. It is derived from the position, and personal authority is derived from personal factors like intelligence, experience, ethics, etc. of the individual. Responsibility is the accountability of the authority and arises out of the assignment of activity. Third one, discipline. According to Fayol, discipline is obedience, energy, mark of respect, as the behavior of employees in accordance with employment contracts and rules. Discipline presupposes self-imposed discipline, which springs from within the individual as an act of spontaneous response to an experienced leader. Fourth one, unity of command. It means that an employee should receive orders from one superior only. If employee receives multiple commands, he gets confused and cannot carry out any of the orders. Fifth one, unity of direction. This principle is concerned with the functioning of the organization in respect of its grouping of activities. Activities with the same objective in an organization are grouped together and they must have one head and one plan. Sixth one, subordination of individual interest to general interest. Individuals as members of the organization are bound by the organizational interest, and in case of conflict between the two, individual interests should not prevail over that of the organization. Seventh one, remuneration of personnel. The methods of payment and remuneration should be fair and should give satisfaction to both employer and employee. Various systems of payment of wages are not considered of universal application, and none of them can be a perfect method according to Fayol. Eighth one, centralization. Fayol refers to this principle as the extent to which authority is concentrated or disposed. A delicate balance of centralization of power and distribution of power should be used by the organization. Ninth one, scalar chain. The line of authority from the top management to lower ranks represents scalar chain. Communication flows through this chain only. It can be skipped only when it is detrimental to the organization. 10th one, order. Order refers to the arrangement of things and people, meaning that there is a place for everything and everything should be in place. P, we say P-E-E-P-P. In social order, there should be the right man in the right place. 11th one, equity. Equity is a combination of justice and kindness. If an organization demonstrates equity in treatment and behavior, the company is admired. It is admired. The company is admired by everyone and ensures loyalty and devotion from subordinates. Equity also assures cordial relation between the management and the workers, thus leading to organizational health. 12th one, stability of tenure. Stability of tenure is reasonable security of jobs. Turnover is both the cause and effect of insufficient management. 13th one, initiative. Initiative within the limits of authority and discipline increases the zeal and energy of the human element. Fayol describes initiative as one of the satisfaction for an intelligent man to experience. 14th one, E-spirit de corps. E-spirit de corps denotes team spirit and union in strength. It encourages the spirit and devotion that is required to ensure group harmony. Next we will see the third type, bureaucracy. Bureaucracy. While Taylor focused on the management of workers on the shop floor, Fayol's focus was on the general management functions in the organization. Closely related to these ideas, Max Weber, the German socialist, focused on developing the theory of bureaucratic management. Weber described an ideal type of organization that is called a bureaucracy. Weber described an ideal type of organization that he called it is a bureaucracy. It is characterized by division of labor, a clearly defined hierarchy, detailed rules and regulations, and impersonal relationship. He recognized that this Ideal bureaucracy does not exist in reality but rather represent a selective reconstruction of the real world. He means it to be taken as a base of theorizing about work and how work could be done in large groups. The features of Weber ideal bureaucracy are job specialization. Work is divided into simple, routine and well-defined specialized tasks. Second one, hierarchy. Positions and people are organized with a clear authority structure in a hierarchy with control and supervision of the higher authority. Third one, formal selection. Employment and promotion must be merit based. Fourth one, formal rules and regulations. Rigorous set of formal rules and regulations must be followed to ensure uniformity and regulate the actions of employees. Impersonality. Superior must conduct official duty with an impersonal attitude, apply rules and controls uniformly and avoiding involvement with the special preference. Next one, career orientation. Managers are professionals and they work for a fixed remuneration and pursue their careers with the organization. The classical approach thus provides a basic of training managers by identifying the functions and skills of managers. Its focus is on the universality of management principle. It provides a mechanism framework that overlooks the human factor in the organization and is based on the concept of rational economic man. On the other hand, Berhan, who published the functions of executive, focused on the integration of the individual and organizational goals. He redefined the organization to include three elements: corporation, purpose and communication. According to him, people have to willingly cooperate and work for a purpose using both formal and informal channels in the organization. In his book, he proposed three functions of an executive. According to him, the executive must contribute and provide a system of communication so as to ensure performance according to their potential and contribute to the formulation of the purpose of organization. Overall, the classical management theory proposed a framework and principles of management which not only provided the guidelines to an organization to function but also served as a foundation for the modern management approaches. So, we have seen the fourth part of introduction to management. In this, we have seen the evolution of management, the empirical, classical perspective, scientific management. Then we saw administrative theory and then we saw bureaucracy. Thank you for watching. Hope you all understood. Thank you.